Hello, and welcome back to another edition of The Alien in Rainham. I'm in Rainham, in Havering, which you can see behind me here, and I'm joined by some Rainham people to talk about some issues in everyday life. And today we're talking about the very controversial issue of euthanasia, which means the painless ending of a person's life when they're terminally ill. There's kind of different ways of doing this.
Aren't there different types of euthanasia?
There are different types.
How many?
Well, there's two different types, which is voluntary and involuntary. And voluntary is when a person volunteers for euthanasia, so it means that they actively ask to die to end their life. And there's involuntary, for example, if someone's in a coma, or if someone just is basically, they have some sort of disability, it means they're unable to ask for euthanasia. There's also kind of two methods. There's
passive.
Yeah, that's right, there's passive, when you might just say, like, take away someone's feeding tubes, or there's active, when you take an active step to end someone's life.
Didn't we watch that film about the person that actively took her life?
Oh, yeah, about that Dr. Ann Turner. Oh. Yeah, she actively took her life.
She went to Dignitas in Switzerland.
That's right. So you can see that, you know, it's a really difficult kind of area, and we're going to look at that today. So, well, it's over to you guys, really, in favour or against euthanasia. What do you think?
Well, I think that euthanasia is not acceptable. I completely go against it.
Why is that?
Because I think that I'm Catholic.
So that makes up your mind, does it?
Yeah, and I'm completely against it.
What about the old double effect, though, for you Catholics? I've heard about this.
Oh.
Yeah, double effect. I've heard of that too. It's when your life is taken as an effect of pain-killing drugs.
Yeah.
So, you know, if someone's taking morphine and they end up dying from it, then that's all right for Catholics, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose that's all right, but not completely taking your life because you're not suffering in any way.
Oh, I see. Well, as a Quaker myself, I would say that euthanasia should be just considered because, you know, what if the person is suffering majorly from something and it was more relief for them to die than be alive anymore?
Yeah, but what about all those people that might use euthanasia as an excuse, might get abused?
Do you mean, let's say, for example, it might be that really horrible relatives that want to inherit from, like, their parent might try and sort of say to them, look, come on, maybe it's just time you know, launch yourself off.
Exactly.
Yeah, but, you know, you've got to think of this idea of agape, where it's the most loving thing to do. If somebody's suffering, then, you know, why let them suffer anymore?
Yeah, talking of agape, if we're thinking of God, isn't God the only person that can take our life away? Why should we take control of that?
Well, you could look at Matthew 7:12, treat others as you wish to be treated. You know, if you were in pain and you wanted to be euthanised, then somebody else should be able to have that decision as well.
It's a really, really tough debate. Having looked at both sides, I think I'm sort of stuck in the middle. On the one side, I think that personally, if I ever was in real pain, I probably would not want to be in it. But at the same time, I can see that wouldn't work for everybody. And so overall, I guess I'm going to say that euthanasia probably is acceptable. It's the choice of the person, because it might be the most loving thing to do to actually let someone go. I know that goes against what you've said, Ducky.
Mm-hmm. Quack.
So what do you think to what I've got to say there?
Well, I know that some Catholics, they believe that, you know, only God has the right to take a life and they should never be put into somebody else's hands.
Yeah, you're all right. You know, that's if you believe in God. Let's say you don't believe in God and you're an atheist. Well, then in which case, belief in God doesn't really enter into the equation. And let's say that, well, God only had a right to take life, but God did really give us free will to make those decisions for ourselves. So for that reason, I'm going to stand by my original point and say, with some reservations, that euthanasia is acceptable. So, we'll see. That's another very controversial issue for the people of Rainham. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Ducky. It's been a pleasure talking to you. See you again another time. Bye.